Hello! Today I'll be looking at the films O Aching Soul, directed by Daniel Nuckolls, and Sir Kendrick of Penwell, directed by Elijah Perry. I'm Zack Lawrence, and this is my long take on these short films.
You looked for it in a bottle. You looked for it in pills. You looked for it in canyons and on dune buggy thrills. You played the lotto and watched CNN. You caught every game played on ESPN. You went to the stadium and experienced the game. You had song and laughter around the fire's flame.
A group of young people seek life's meaning in this spoken word film from Daniel Nuckolls. This film takes an interesting approach, mixing a spoken word poem with a narrative element of five friends going on a road trip to the Grand Canyon while yearning for something that will fill the voids in their lives. Pastor Kevin Swanson delivers the poem, acting as an orator on a literal soapbox on the edge of the Grand Canyon. Now, while he talks, we see the five friends on their adventure with their actions mirroring Swanson's words. On the surface, this film is a creative approach to sharing the gospel by calling out how hollow life is without Jesus. However, the more I watched it, the more I felt that it wasn't as strong as it could have been. Even though the film tries to establish the five friends as characters for the audience to identify with, they're really just one-note stand-ins for certain vices. There's the alcoholic one, the sports-addicted one, the beauty-obsessed one, the grumpy guy, and the girl whose idea it is to go on the road trip to begin with. She didn't really have any other identifiable character traits, so I guess we'll call her the instigator. Now, the actors do a well enough job, but the part that really got to me was how unrealistic their transformation is at the end. And I'm sorry, I've got to get into spoilers here, so either jump ahead to this point, or pause me, click the iCard, and watch the movie real quick. So, at the end, the five friends all come to where Kevin Swanson is preaching to a crowd that's been growing throughout the movie. They listen to 2 or 3 lines of the poem, briefly glance at his Bible, and boom, they're Christians now and can appreciate the world through new eyes. The build up to this point is all for the audience's benefit, but the moment you look at it through the character's eyes, it's got to be one of the most rushed conversion scenes I've ever seen. Yes, one could argue that the important thing is that the audience gets the message, and the characters are just there to serve as illustrations of the larger point. But my problem is that when you pair something like this with a narrative storyline, both elements have to work together for the film to really have an impact. Otherwise, you have people like me get so distracted by the unrealistic character development that it completely robs the message of its power. Now, this takes me into the technical aspects of the film. The cinematography, sound design, and the edit are definitely the strongest parts of the film. Visually, the cinematography was really nice, and it was definitely a step up from Nuckolls' previous film, Living Word, which I reviewed in an earlier episode. Now, the sound design and music worked really well, with the scenes with the friends being muted just enough to not distract from the main vocals of the poem, but still present enough to help communicate the scene, almost like in a music video. Now, I've already talked about the flaws with the character development, so my only other quibble with the writing is that the structure of the poem itself is styled more with the basic rhyming scheme of a children's book, rather than that fluid rhythm you would expect of a spoken word video. So to sum it all up, O Aching Soul is a short film that's well put together in all technical aspects, except for the writing. It's nice to look at with a sincere entry-level gospel message. Unfortunately, that sincerity wasn't enough to make me fall totally in love with it, so I'm going to give this film a rating of meh positive. You can watch O Aching Soul at nickelfilms.com.
I don't have to tell you anything.
A knight tells his protege about his tragic past in this film based off the Knights of Erythrae fantasy book series by Chuck Black. Sir Kendrick rescues a young woman from some attackers in the forest. The two gradually fall in love, start a family, and have a peaceful life together until tragedy strikes. Now, Sir Kendrick of Penwell was directed by Elijah Perry of CITC Productions and was made as an entry for a contest by author Chuck Black. So, it's essentially a fan film for a series that I'm unfortunately not familiar with. Someone at CITC asked me to review the film, so I thought I'd oblige. I'll start off by saying that I did enjoy watching the movie because I haven't seen a people swinging swords in a forest Christian allegory movie since 2006's The Book of Being. So it did make me a bit nostalgic and took me back to the beginnings of my own filmmaking journey. Now, this was clearly made by a young group of filmmakers, so I was impressed by the quality of the costumes and production design. The core love story is very sweet, and you do feel for the characters when tragedy eventually strikes. Unfortunately, it doesn't do a very good job of establishing the setting of the story for people who aren't familiar with the source material, like myself. Even the brief prologue at the beginning, even with that, I was still a little lost as to what was going on and why. Who are these bad guys? Why are they attacking Sir Kendrick? Why do they go after his family? Apparently, if you know the books, you'll know what's going on, I'm assuming. I mean, it did win the author's video contest in 2017, so clearly this is something that fans of the books will enjoy. I just wish they had done a bit more world building within the film so that this could truly stand on its own for general audiences. Now, from a technical standpoint, I was impressed with how well done the sound design was. A big problem that amateur and beginner filmmakers run into is getting good, clear sound, especially in exterior shots. But if your film does have good sound, the audience tends to be more forgiving of a film's other technical flaws. For example, in this film, the cinematography is decent, the fight choreography is not bad, but the acting is pretty stiff. But at least you can hear it. Now, when I first watched the movie, I was left feeling really lost because I had no idea why any of the things were happening. I was actually really disappointed and was considering giving the movie the show's first hated it rating. But as I rewatched it a few times while writing the review, I was able to take a step back and recognize and appreciate the positive aspects. It has good sound design, good costuming, decent stunts and cinematography. This is not a bad film by any means, and I feel bad about how I felt at first. Now, I don't think that invalidates my concerns, though. If you're making a film that's based on another property, especially one that's not that well known, you've got to make sure that the movie can stand on its own for the uninitiated. You may not get another chance to win that viewer back. So, since I have warmed up to the movie a bit more, I am going to give it a better rating than hated it. I don't think I can go any higher than negative, though. Though it does show that the filmmakers have a lot of potential, it is still a little rough and does not stand on its own. So if you know the books, check it out. You'll probably be able to appreciate it more than I did. You can watch Sir Kendrick of Penwell at citc-productions.com. And of course, once you've seen the films featured in today's episode, let me know what you thought of them in the comments below. If there are any films that you want me to look at for future episodes, leave a comment or email longtake@standingsun.com. I'm Zack Lawrence, and that was my long take of these short films. Thanks for watching. Short Films, The Long Take with Zack Lawrence is brought to you by Storytellers. To learn more about their mission and services for Christian storytellers of all media, visit storytellers.sctreehouse.com.